You know, after living so many years, surviving wars, sunrises, losses, unexpected joy, and long stretches of silence, I realized something. The heaviest burden in life is not hardship. The heaviest burden is the worry we invent ourselves. Strange, isn't it? Life is already a complicated thing, yet we insist on carrying things on our shoulders that don't even exist. Things that live only as noise inside the mind. And here's the funniest part. When you pass through decades, through things that would break most people, you suddenly understand. Almost everything you once feared was just a shadow. Let me tell you what I've learned from long years, from many falls and many rises. Maybe this wisdom will save you years of your own life. Do you know why anxiety feels so convincing? Because it disguises itself as care, as responsibility, as being a good person. But don't be deceived. Anxiety is clever ego. Ego is a tiny manager inside us, trying to run a giant factory called life. It has no tools, no strength, no knowledge. But it does have ambition. It fears chaos, fears the unknown, fears admitting that not everything depends on it. And so begins this inner theater. You sit at home, everything is calm, but inside your head a storm is raging. What if? What then? What if I don't make it, don't manage it, don't foresee it? It's almost funny. We scare ourselves with things that don't exist, and then we fear the fear we created. You know, my friend, real dangers in life were few, most anxieties empty, but how much strength they stole. Once I saw a man drowning, not because he couldn't swim, he could. He was drowning because of panic. He thrashed at the water like a beast fighting shadows. The more he tried to control the water, the deeper he sank. Do you know what saved him? Not strength, not technique, but the moment he exhaled, softened, and the water lifted him on its own. Life works the same way. When we stop panicking, we begin to float. And now I need you to stay attentive, because what I'll say next, most people never understand. There is one kind of anxiety so well disguised that you won't even notice how it takes you captive. This type destroys destinies, steals years, mutes talent. I'll tell you about it a bit later. But for now, let me explain why letting go is so hard. We believe, if I control everything, nothing bad will happen. And who told you that? Life never agreed to follow our plans. It does what it wants. And that's not a threat. That's wisdom. How many times have you planned everything perfectly and everything went differently? How many times did you prepare for the worst and it never came? How many times did you worry before an event and it turned out trivial? We know this, and yet we keep worrying, as if it changes anything. But anxiety doesn't change the future. It only changes the present, making it worse. Anxiety is not a reaction of the body, not a reaction to reality, not a reaction to circumstances. Anxiety is resistance to life. A worried person doesn't fear a specific event. He fears experiencing life as it is, unpredictable, alive, changing. When you're anxious, you're trying to stop the flow. But the flow is stronger than you. That's why anxiety feels endless. It's not about danger. It's about resistance. If you want, I can say it even deeper. Anxiety is fear of trust, fear of relaxing, fear of being alive. But life is not something we control. Life is something we live. When I was younger, I thought everything depended on my mind, my plans, my decisions, my calculations. I believed that if I analyzed everything, I could outsmart fate. And then life smiled and showed me who's really in charge. The death of a loved one, illness, sudden success, strange coincidences, encounters that changed everything. I planned none of it, and anxiety protected me from none of it. But how do you live without worrying, you may ask? I'll tell you now, but please listen carefully. These are not cliches. This is what saved me in the darkest times. First step, stop fighting anxiety. Jung said, "Awareness is the beginning of transformation." You cannot defeat anxiety, but you can see it. Like this. Aha, here it is again. That familiar voice, that tightness in my chest. Anxiety is not you. It is ego. And once you learn to distinguish them, anxiety loses power. Let's return to that hidden, most dangerous type of anxiety I mentioned earlier. It's the anxiety disguised as ambition. It's the fear of not becoming someone, the fear of not achieving enough, not being special enough, not leaving a mark. This anxiety doesn't feel like panic. It feels like drive, like a noble goal. It whispers, "You must do more, be more, prove more." It makes you run and run until you're completely exhausted, chasing a version of yourself that doesn't exist. You sacrifice your present for a future that's always just out of reach. You neglect your health, your relationships, your simple joys, all for an imaginary prize. This is the anxiety that mutes talent because it forces your creative spirit into a rigid box of success. It steals your years by making you live for a destination instead of enjoying the journey. So, how do we escape this trap? Step 2, get out of your head and into your body. Anxiety is a story told by the mind. The body, however, lives only in the present. So, when that inner voice starts spinning its tailies, bring your attention to your physical self. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the air fill your lungs. Notice the warmth of the sun on your skin or the taste of your morning coffee. Your senses are your anchor to reality. They are the simplest, most powerful way to break the spell of anxious thoughts. Just 5 minutes of mindful breathing can reset your entire nervous system. It's not about emptying your mind, it's about grounding it in the here and now. And finally, step 3, embrace imperfection. This might be the hardest one for the ego to accept. We're taught to strive for perfection, to avoid mistakes at all costs. But life isn't a flawless painting. It's a messy, beautiful, unpredictable dance. The moments you feel most alive are often the ones that are unplanned and imperfect. Let yourself make mistakes. Laugh at them. Learn from them. The need to be perfect is a cage. True freedom is found in accepting that you are a work in progress, and that's perfectly okay. It's about choosing progress over perfection. So, to recap, see anxiety for what it is, an overzealous ego. Ground yourself in the present moment through your senses. And give yourself permission to be beautifully, wonderfully imperfect. These aren't just empty words. They are tools. Tools that can help you put down that heavy, imaginary burden and finally start living, not just surviving. When you stop resisting the flow of life, you'll find it carries you exactly where you need to be. If you're struggling, please remember that reaching out for help is a sign of strength. There are resources and people who can support you. You don't have to go through this alone. The second step is to ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? When you answer this question honestly, something almost miraculous happens. Your fear takes shape. It stops being this formless, nameless monster lurking in the dark corners of your mind. A fear that has a name is a fear that has been weakened. And most of the time, you'll find that behind your anxiety isn't some catastrophic event, but a simple thought. Thoughts like, they might not accept me. I might fail. I could lose their respect. What if I make a mistake? That's it. It's not a disaster. It's not the end of the world. It's just a thought. And a thought is something you can choose to release. The third step is to simply let life flow. You'll be surprised, but when a person stops clinging so tightly to outcomes, life itself begins to guide them. The right person appears at just the right time. The perfect opportunity arrives at the perfect moment. Everything just seems to align. This synchronicity isn't some kind of magic. It's the natural order of the world, and it only becomes visible when the noise in our minds finally quiets down. Now, let's talk about that trap I mentioned earlier. You might think anxiety is just fear of the future. But no, it's not quite that simple. The most destructive kind of anxiety is the anxiety of, I must be better. I have to measure up. I can't disappoint them. This anxiety is like rust. It slowly and silently eats away at your life. It makes you a slave to other people's expectations. It forces you to live out someone else's fate instead of your own. And this is the turning point. If you truly understand this, your life will change. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be alive. Perfect people don't exist. But millions of people have lived lives and weren't theirs because they were so busy trying to please everyone else. Don't be one of them. Anxiety doesn't disappear when you finally control everything. It disappears when you stop trying to live someone else's life. And now we're approaching the most important moment of this entire conversation. If you stay with me until the very end, I'm going to share a thought that once saved me from complete and total emotional burnout. A thought I've held closer than any other. But before I share that, we need to finish this journey together. What happens when a person finally stops worrying? When anxiety leaves? The world doesn't change, you do. Clarity appears. Your energy returns. Your body feels light. Your mind becomes quiet. Your heart becomes calm. And suddenly, you begin to see what was always there, hidden behind all the noise. You start to hear your intuition. You connect with your real desires. You start making your own decisions. You stop frantically running through life, and you begin walking through it, steady, calm, with dignity. Now for the promised thought, the one that changed everything for me. Many years ago, a very wise old man told me this. Worry is not an attempt to protect yourself. It is an attempt to avoid the present moment. I didn't understand what he meant at the time, but later it hit me. Anxiety is escape. It's an escape into the future, into fantasies, into imagined scenarios, into fears that don't even exist. But while you're escaping, life is passing you by. Anxiety dies in only one place, the present moment. If you are fully here, right now, breathing, aware, anxiety dissolves like mist under the morning sun. That is true freedom. And now, I want to ask you a question. The same one I once asked myself, the one that changed everything. Do you want to live your life or worry it away? Because these two paths never run together. Only you can choose which one to take. And now that I've shared with you everything I've gathered over long decades, now that we've walked this path together, from pointless worry to that quiet inner strength that so few people possess, I want to leave you with one last thought. Look, if you've listened this far, something inside you is already changing. It might be a small, almost invisible shift. Others may not see it yet, but it's already happening. You've started to notice the moments when your anxiety isn't yours, but something imposed on you. You've started to see when fear is only a shadow, not a reality. You're realizing that peace doesn't need to be found because it already lives within you. And here's what I ask you to do next, not for me, for yourself. If you want to continue this path with me, click that subscribe button. That way, you won't lose the progress you've already started. Most people will hear this and go right back to their anxiety. But not you. You can feel it, can't you? Something important is beginning right now. Subscribe. Let's continue this journey together.